What you are about to see is a collaboration between me and a few other YouTubers talking about the pedophile ring hidden behind a bullshit group called Progress. It's a front for pedophiles on Twitter and YouTube. Now, most of their accounts have been suspended on Twitter, but they keep creating new ones the second after their previous account gets suspended. They also target anybody who speaks against pedophiles, so if you decide to mirror this video, they will attack your channel. This is just a pre-warning. They have come after quite a few of my videos with zero success. In the description, some links may be repeated, but that's because I kept copying and pasting whatever I found without potentially going back and checking the dozen or so notepad documents I had opened to see if I already had the information, so I apologize for duplicates. Now remember, we need to, anybody who's willing to mirror this, thank you, because we need to have more videos out than these sick, deprived, mentally ill pedophiles can go after. Remember, they think, they're so screwed, they think the word pedosexual is a thing. They get offended by the word pedophile. So whenever discussing it with them, make sure to use that word. They really don't like it. But that is enough with that. Anyways, enjoy don't really enjoy, you get what I'm saying. Also, some people are calling these people trolls, and there's one of two reasons to do that. One, because they're fake, and no reason don't take them seriously, or because it's easier than having to actually deal with them. Either way, assuming, let's just say for argument's sake, they are trolls. Either way, they are still putting out dangerous information for actual potential pedophiles to try to jump on this so they can get away with hurting children, which is their end goal. So, yes, this video is kind of long. If you want to mirror it, go for it.
Can you believe it? The pedophile supporters are still this stupid. Never forget, the devil's coming for you, boy. And now we have these guys. Some are pedophiles, some are just supporters. But in my personal opinion, if you're a pedophile supporter, you might as well be a pedophile. Why else would you support endangering children? But again, my opinion. We have Elieen Stayner. By the way, all the information I'm sharing is public information. There are links on his pages. He runs something called Progress, supposedly for equality. Now, if that was the end of it, I'd support it to the moon and back. But that's not the case. It's a front. Something he hides under the term pedosexual, which is basically pedophiles grabbing onto the gay community by sticking P in the LGBTP area. It's his way of, Now, if this guy were trying to get pedophiles the mental help they need, I'd be for that. If he wanted them to see a doctor to help them stay away from children, again, more power to him. That's not what he wants. He wants to help pedophiles get what they want. And what is this? Nobody asked. they want children. They want to harm children. And saying a lot of these pedos, or MAPs, also known as minor attracted person, saying they never dare hurt a child. I'm sorry, the second you touch a child in a sexual manner, you hurt them both mentally and physically. He's not the only one. He's got people trying to defend him and shut anybody down that makes him public. People like Daniel Gaither, however you pronounce his name, who on the exact same video claims to have reported my account, and on that same day told me to go watch one of his videos, and in his words, but I truly want to know more about pedophilia. No matter how these people dress it up, what you're advocating for is a crime. It is morally and legally wrong. And we have Dale Steinberg, who claimed to have reported my video for inciting threats of violence, which is a lie. Again, it's what happens when you bring a group of people into the light who want to stay in the shadows. And of course, all these people who are attacking are using pictures of creepy old men. So if these pictures are you, just wow. We also have YouTubers who goes by Dr. Pedophile, who is making the claim that online politics is protected by free speech on a private media platform, which is not true. And another idiot, Auction Split, who defends that claim. So who else do we have? Some dipshit named sugar.starch, who doesn't have the brain capacity to realize children cannot consent to a sexual act. A yes is not consent when you don't have the mental capacity to understand what you're being asked. We also have Dr. Ephebo Phil and this idiot who goes by the name Why Do You Respond Then Block? If you look at their YouTube page, for lack of a better term, this person makes the claim of being a pedophile and having the dream job of babysitting. So many downvotes you see on this video, that's how many pedophiles and their supporters have found my video. They hate having the world knowing they exist. So let's recap. We have Elieen Stayner, disguising a pro-pedo group as an equality for all group. Pretty sure Daniel Gaither is part of this group. No existing proof besides his pro-pedo video. Sugar.starch, etc., etc. My message to you guys, seek professional help. You're all obviously mentally ill. And stay away from children. Now you can bring all your pro-pedo friends to my page, but I promise you, I have more friends than you do. In fact, here's a couple with their opinions on all this.
Hi all, Amanda Wolfchild here, and I have been asked by the devil to help comment on another pedo video. I think it's quite clear how I get about this subject, how very, very angry I can get about this subject, but I'm going to do my very, very best to be as calm and rational as possible here. I think you all also know the reason why I get so very angry on this subject. I am a mother, and I also, as a child, was a victim of 2 different pedophiles at different times in my life. So I can tell you sick fucks from experience that it is damaging to children. But like I said, I'm going to try to be as calm and rational as possible and just tell you what I think on this subject. Here goes. There are 3 types of pedos. Extremely rare instances that we can't even, as far as I know, scientifically prove of when someone is born with this mental disorder. It's quite possible in these rare cases where this happens that they were just abused at a very, very young age and it was never discovered. Like at an age too young to remember that it ever happened to them. Or they've blocked it out completely and don't remember that it ever happened to them. And so they feel as if they were born this way. But I can go so far as to say maybe possibly there's a genetic link or something, and maybe there are rare instances of people born either this way or with a predisposition to being this way. And then there are those who were abused as children and turn into someone with this mental disorder. And then there's the third kind, the psychopaths, those devoid of morals and empathy, who simply don't care about the harm they cause to someone else. Now, there are people who are abused, there are people who feel they're born this way, and there are psychopaths who are not child abusers or child molesters. There are some that actually realize that they have something wrong with them, and they seek help when they realize there's something wrong, and they separate themselves from those who could be potential victims if they don't control themselves. I've even heard stories, I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard stories about some who go so far as to chemically castrate themselves in an attempt to protect others. I'm not saying that by the nature of you having this mental disorder, you are inherently evil. Not at all. It is your actions always that determine whether you are evil or good. Like, you are the determining factor. You are the one that makes the decisions. Your disorder doesn't make the decisions for you. You may face hardship or whatever because of your decisions, but you still have to own your decisions. And those that seek help, good for them. More power to you. In all honesty, we need to have more help available to them and easier to access, possibly even. But then there's the other side of this coin, and that's those with this mental disorder who never seek help and think they can stay around children. In fact, put themselves in positions alone with children, and we should all just fucking accept it. Just listen and believe that they never so much as look at kiddie porn. Bull fucking shit. Then there's some who think that what they are is perfectly okay. And they're a mix of like the psychopaths and those with the disorder. And I made a little kind of diagram to help keep track of my ramblings here. Some of them think it's like their sick fucking right as the parent or caregiver of the child to do this shit. These people should die. Seriously, I mean that. They're obviously a genetic dead end and will only cause harm to society. Find them, charge them, put them through the legal system, and kill them. Painlessly, but get them away from children forever. And yet more of this subcategory believes that they can genuinely love a child and be in an equal relationship with them, which is fucking disgusting. People whose disorder has twisted their thinking so far beyond acceptable, it must be isolated from society to stop the spread. So again, find them, charge them, put them through the legal system, kill them. Because from experience of myself and many other victims, I know what you're doing and supporting is fucking harmful. It strips you of your childhood, your innocence, your sense of safety and trust in human beings, your self-worth, and it ties your self-esteem and sense of value with pleasing someone else. Physically, mentally, emotionally, somehow your existence is only valid if you please someone else. You can realize this and fight it within yourself and begin to heal, but you're forever changed. So I don't want y'all to shut up. I want you to speak up, because then I know who you are. I know your face. I know what you are. And if I ever see you near my child, oh boy. If I saw you near someone else's kid, like I see you and some random kid, I would separate the two of you, call the cops and the parents, or report you to CPS if you were the parent, if I knew for a fact that you were a fucking pedo. But if it was my kid you were near, my fucking kid, and I knew you were a pedo, I'd fucking kill you. On sight, full stop, end of conversation. Because while I do believe that the system should take care of you, and that personal vigilante justice really isn't the right way to go about things, I am also a mother, and there are just some things that you don't fucking do. I will not be held responsible for the natural reaction to end the threat to my child. It is my evolutionary biological imperative to be a psycho fucking cunt if I see somebody obviously dangerous near my baby. And I think when people see you online, they should find you. I think they should post you everywhere. I think everybody should know exactly what the fuck you are and who the fuck you are. And I think we should all be ready to act in that exact same evolutionary imperative way if we see you near a child. And you should understand that because you know there's something wrong with you. You're fucking sick. And you should just stay the fuck away from kids. It's really not that difficult. Don't be a teacher. Don't be a foster parent. Don't be a parent, for fuck's sake. Stay away from children. I can't take it anymore, devil. Why the fuck did you do this to me? Oh yeah, you're the fucking devil, that's why. Oh, you drive me to drink, dude. Where the fuck's my vodka at?
There is no such thing as pedosexuality or minor attracted persons. If you are attracted to children, you are a pedophile. You cannot dress it up with different names and try adding it to the LGBT community. They have it hard enough with the transgenders invading. Not only are you making it harder on the LGBT community, but you are supporting the physical and mental abuse of children. A 3-year-old child does not have sexual urges. They do not understand sex. Their brains aren't even close to fully developed. Ask any person who has been sexually abused as a child and they will all tell you it has affected their mental health severely. Not only does having sex with children cause the mental harm, but it does harm them physically. An 18-month-old child died after being penetrated by a man. An 8-year-old child bride died because of having sex with her adult husband. It can cause not only death, but serious harm to the genitals, the reproductive system, and whatever sick shit is done to the child. And as a mother, if I had found out my child was ever talking to a pedophile or people were trying to indoctrinate her into their way of thinking in this sick, disgusting pedophile community, they better hope that the cops get to them before I do. I do not want my child to be harmed in any way. I don't want any child to go through any abuse, mental, physical, emotional, and promoting it with this pedosexuality bullshit is not alright. It does not show consideration of anyone else but the pedophiles, and claiming you're being attacked by somebody because they're pointing out the facts of all of this bullshit is, in fact, in itself bullshit. Anyone who ever thinks they might be attracted to children of any age should seriously seek help. It is not normal at all to be sexually attracted to children. It is a mental disorder and it needs to be treated immediately. I recommend either taking a barrel of the gun to your forehead or seeking a doctor's help.
Hello, I'm Stuttering Soliloquy, and I'm here to talk about a very disturbing topic that's been going around on YouTube called heart progress. This is apparently something a group of people that think that you can be a pedosexual. And no, I didn't say that wrong. These are people that genuinely think that you should be able to have sex with children because they're able to consent. These are genuine pedophiles that are making it out to be that they are able, they're trying to rationalize what they're doing. And I've watched a few of the videos and they compare these things to parents that abuse their children not being called abhorrent and disgusting. Well, I can tell you right now that they are. And like pedophiles are the only people that are getting treated this way, and that's not true. If you put a child's life in danger, either at the moment or throughout their life, as in like you do psychological harm that then causes them to be addicted to drugs engage in risky behaviors or even possibly driven to suicide because of your action, because you could not control yourself. You are a terrible person. And a lot of us are trying to shine light on this topic. We wanted to discuss it. We wanted to bring awareness to it so that these people don't get away with this. They don't think it's okay to touch kids, to have sex with children. You cannot have a sexual relationship with a 4-year-old and tell me that that is okay. They say that there are studies behind it, but there are studies behind children being curious about sex, not being able to consent. As for me, it's something I've struggled with, and I can tell you right now, it ruined my life. And what these people are doing is disgusting. Thank you.
Ooga fucking ooga cunts, it's Schmeckle. This is the 4th fucking time I've recorded this video. The first time I tried to be reasonable. I was calm. I wanted to argue the points these cunts were trying to make. The second, I was a little bit smarter. It was about 20 minutes of me just explaining why these people are garbage. The third was an absolute fucking masterpiece. It was an hour and a half of a mixture of the two. Unfortunately, my laptop crashed and I no longer have that copy. Here's what you get instead. By this point in the video, everybody will have already gone through exposing these cunts, giving their names, explaining why they're wrong, explaining why they're pieces of garbage, why they are absolute pieces of shit. So there's no point in me doing that. As much as I would like to go on and on and on about how disgusting these people are for wanting to fuck children, wanting to fuck innocent little kids, I won't do that. I'm not gonna waste your time with just a bunch of me saying that these guys are fucking monsters because of what they want to do to fucking little toddlers, infants, children, people in fucking elementary school. I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna do that because you've already heard enough of that by this point. What I am gonna do is explain to you cunts the best way of dealing with these people. If you run into these people on Twitter, if you run into these people on YouTube, interact with them, argue with them. And when I say argue with them, I don't mean argue in the actual sense of forming arguments. That's not necessary. But make sure that you're exposing their sick shit to your fan base, your followers, whoever. Make sure that you are spreading what they're saying. Because the more people that see it, the better. But it's not all that important that you actually argue with them. There's no real point to it. Who the fuck do you have to convince? You're not going to convince them. They want to fuck kids and they're going to keep pushing their ideas in the hopes of eventually getting the right to fuck kids. That's what they are. They're pedophiles. They're monsters. They're garbage. And you don't need to convince anybody else because everybody else already knows that fucking children is wrong. This isn't an argument that you need to win. This is an argument that you need to have seen. That's all you need to do. There's no purpose in actually wasting your time trying to convince these cunts. I mean, feel free. Go ahead. I've tried a couple times. I thought maybe there was some decent human being inside one of them that could be swayed. But there's not. That's not what's going to happen. All you're going to do is waste your breath while they continue to try to make excuses for what they want and for what they are. These are depraved individuals. These are not people that you're going to be able to reason with. So the best course of action is just to spread it as far and as wide as you can. Most of them probably are not using their real names, but at least you can get these accounts checked out, shut down, one by one. At least you can do something about these cunts. And I'm not saying it's your fucking responsibility. It's nobody's responsibility. But as a fucking parent of a 1.5-year-old girl, I know that I'll dedicate as much fucking time as I can to getting pieces of shit like this taken off of the internet. And I know I said I wouldn't dedicate too much time to talking about what absolute pieces of scum they are. but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to help it. These are not the type of pedophiles that know that what they want is wrong. These are the type of people that actively advocate for the right, yeah, they call it a right, to fuck children, to rape children. That's what these cunts want. And I don't know a single fucking decent human being who will disagree with me when I say that something needs to be done about them. These are the type of people that, yes, they have their free speech. They can say whatever the fuck they want. But certain things should have you monitored. And one of those things is definitely, hey, I want to fuck children. The moment you've said something like that, the moment you say something like, hey, I think it's okay to fuck children, you deserve to have somebody watching you. Somebody keeping an eye on you each and every fucking day. Because at that point, I don't give a fuck if you're a human being, you're a fucking threat. You've become nothing more than a threat. And the moment you fucking act on it, all you deserve is a fucking rope. Well, I hope that was nice and lighthearted enough for your channel, Devil. It's not the long video that I promised, but I think I got my point across. And just in case I didn't, fuck pedophiles. But I mean, don't fuck pedophiles, because they only want to do that to kids, and if we have, just end it here. End it here, Devil.
Hey y'all, Bloodewing here. And I'm here not only because I am his friend, but because as the grandfather of 9, soon to be 10, I have a vested interest in this subject. Heart's Progress, or whatever label you want to put on yourselves. You know, and I know, that you're just sick. This is not a lifestyle. And from all the friends in the LGBTQ community that I know that I've contacted, they don't want you involved with them because they know you're sick. You need to find help. And YouTube needs to shut this garbage down. Because if they don't, they're sicker than I even think they are. And I'm not real high on YouTube at the moment. You can have all the lawyers and all the double talk you want, but it just amounts to sickness. And no one is going to go along with this. You'll never achieve what you hope to. No one will ever go along with it, not the majority. So, if you haven't acted on your pedophilic feelings and touched a child, then go find help. If you have crossed the line and actually molested a child, then I might have something else for you.
So, I'm supposed to be recovering from bronchitis, and I do hang out on Twitter a lot, even though I'm sick. But what caught my attention earlier was with a friend of mine about pedophilia. And normally while I would have my door closed for this kind of topic because of the fact that I do not want my little brother to hear me talk about such things, unfortunately that's not going to be an option for me. And by little I do mean somebody who is under the age of 18. He is a minor. And when he was really little, I would tell him, if somebody tried to offer you candy or a ride home, ignore them, tell them sorry, I can't accept these kinds of offers from strangers, and if they try to grab him, to run away and scream as loud as he can, kidnapper. And the reason why I told him this is because there are many, many, many different sick individuals out there. People who just want to abduct people. People who want to abduct children for sex, pedophiles. People who want to hold kids as ransom. And being in the neighborhood that I live in, at the time we were pretty much the only full white family Like, we only have one other neighbor at the time who was white that lived across the street from us, and she lived by herself. We were the only full white family with children that were white in this neighborhood, and I wanted to make sure that he knew what to do, and I verified with him that he knew what to do, and I hope he takes those teachings with him as an adult and learn how to defend himself. And the reason why I did this is because I knew that if somebody was to abduct my little brother and have sex with him, he wouldn't understand. Like, literally would not understand what was going on. And the reason why I am so strongly and adamantly against pedophilia is because children's minds are still in development. We can be diagnosed with one thing at a young age and then come to find out it's something else. It's the case with my little brother. He was originally diagnosed as being bipolar, and before that he was originally diagnosed with having ADD, ADHD. Now we find out that it's actually autism, and it took 12 years for this diagnosis to go through, to be processed and actually evaluated, reevaluated, so on and so forth. So yeah, it did take a long time for this to go through, and that's okay. But the fact is that here, for children, their minds are still developing. Having sex with kids, even if they say yes, is not a good thing. Having sex with kids, even if they say yes, does not mean that they actually understand what's going on. The very first time I've actually had the sex talk, was when I was in 5th grade. And that's because of my state had stated that 5th grade would be the earliest age developed for this kind of stuff. And before that, no. It wasn't, you wouldn't talk sex with 3-year-olds. You wouldn't ask 5-year-olds if they want a hand job. You wouldn't ask a 9-year-old if they wanted a blowjob. And there are many, many teachers who are arrested every year. Most of those teachers being women, for pedophilia, because they had had sex with a minor, somebody under the age of consent, or in my book, somebody under the age of 18, because the way I see it, if you're not old enough to vote, you're not old enough to poke. That's just me. But I do know that teens will have sex, and that they will have sex with other teenagers. That's fine. That's going to happen. Nothing's going to change that. But you know what can change? Stop trying to put pedophilia in with the LGBT community. You are a disgusting, sick bunch who needs therapeutic help. Go find a psychologist. Speak to them. Talk to them. As long as you're not threatening somebody, then you're okay to talk to a psychologist about getting this kind of help. About seeking the help you actually need. Because pedophilia is not a sexual act, or a sexual right, or any kind of sexual kind of conduct whatsoever. It is a fucking mental disease. And one that you need help with.
My channel name is Actuallytina, and I go by Tina, and I occasionally make videos on this website when I have time, and this is a subject that I'm very concerned about. But I'm going to remain calm because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of angry people in this video, and I have been angry at these people, but I'm going to try to remain calm because it's the best way for me to express what's going on, because I find people tend to zone out when you're very angry. So just kind of some info on my background, not trying to sell myself, but it's actually relevant to what's going on. I am currently getting a PhD in forensic science, and my undergraduate degrees include focuses on biology, forensics, chemistry, as well as criminal justice. And I've seen some of the worst things people can do to other people. And I'm almost every day, depending on the classes I'm taking, we'll see pictures of dead people from various ways. And I'm not saying that I'm numb to it. It's because I do have sympathy for most people. I'm not that jaded or cold, but I mean, there's only so much you can feel, and you can't just break down for these people, otherwise I couldn't do my job. But there are some exceptions to this. And those exceptions include 3 types of people. And these are crimes that involve older people, sick people, mentally disabled people, and anytime I see a case involving a child. These people are some of the weakest members of our society. And in those classes of people, children stand out to me more than any of the others, because maybe with the exception of the people who are mentally disabled, they don't understand a lot of the time what's happening to them. And they do grow out of it and they get to understand, but when the crimes are occurring, they don't understand. I can't tell you how many times I've read a case study or listened to an investigator who was interviewing a kid in a horrible abuse or sexual abuse case where the kids feel guilty and they don't know what they've done wrong and they're sorry and they still love the parent if the parent did it, or they don't want to get the person in trouble, because most of these crimes are usually committed by people who know the kids, unfortunately. And they're so innocent. Kids are a whole different thing. They are not emotionally mature enough to understand things that are happening to them. They truly are innocent. They think that just a friendship is what they consider love. Just being friends with somebody. They don't understand what an actual relationship is. They don't understand, they don't understand really sexual or physical love relationships beyond like, oh, I love you because you're my parent or you're my friend, until they basically reach puberty, and they're just very innocent, maybe until like the age of 10. And even then, until you're about the age of consent, which in most places is 16 or 17, they're still innocent in a way. Teenagers don't understand how a lot of the world works. They're still in a protective bubble. It's kind of beautiful in a way. It's a little annoying because they're getting older and they're usually pretty, crazy from all their hormones, but they're still innocent. I mean, they don't have to pay bills. They don't have to deal with severe adult consequences in the world. And that's why we have age consent, because by 16 or 17, they're starting to deal with these things and they're emotionally there. And I don't understand how there are these people advocating for relationships with people under the age of consent. It's not fair. Kids don't understand it. Until they reach puberty, they don't have sexual feelings. I mean, hell, a lot of little kids do masturbate. In a way, they really touch themselves, but it's a soothing behavior. I mean, it's not a sexual behavior. And they don't understand the faux pas of, if they're doing that in public. I mean, for instance, when I was 3 years old, my parents had to punish me because I would, touch my area in public. It's funny now, but back then they were really concerned because they thought someone would think that something was happening. But it was just like a soothing behavior. And they even asked the doctor about it. And the doctor said, yeah, that's just what kids do. They're exploring. And they just don't, kids don't understand that. It's not them engaging in sexual activity. It's a soothing pleasure behavior more than anything. And, they also don't understand faux pas, as I mentioned before. When I went to a daycare, I got in trouble and had to be removed from class because I told a bunch of students that dinosaur eggs came from vagina. I didn't say vagina, but I pointed at my area. I said that's where dinosaur and chicken eggs come from. And they took me out of the class and had to explain to me, I couldn't do that because I didn't understand. And you people, you think that's an indication that a kid is ready for sex. I didn't even know what sex was. I just had a dinosaur book that showed dinosaur eggs being laid. That's how I figured that out. And, And aside from not being emotionally mature enough, they're physically not mature enough. There's a reason we have puberty, because kids' bodies are not physically able to do some of the acts that you guys want to do to them. I mean, seriously, it causes me. I've seen several autopsies where there's major tears from people who have done this to kids because they legitimately are not made for it. And I'm not just talking. I mean, and you could make the argument that, oh I think it's a disgusting argument, but I've seen some of you make the argument where, oh, I don't want to have physical sex with these kids. I just want to, touch them and let them explore my parts. And yeah, that's so wrong. Like, okay, if you're not physically damaging the kid, but you're definitely emotionally damaging them. They're not ready for that. They just aren't. And this is so hard for me because I've also studied victimology in my degree, and this stuff, abuse in general, but sexual abuse, it destroys people. A lot of these people end up doing drugs. A lot of these people end up with severe depression and other mental disorders because this act destroys them. It's someone taking advantage of someone else, and overwhelmingly, it usually does psychologically destroy these kids, and they become adults who are psychologically damaged. And as a toxicologist, which is the field I've chosen to study, probably about a third of what I study is just drug overdoses and, people dying from drugs. And I have to wonder, especially since we don't get like information on our cases, but an overwhelming majority of these victims are people who have suffered abuse. And, it could be sexual, it could be physical, but I just have to wonder, like, do you guys understand how much you destroy these kids? It's devastating. And I know that some of you like to show studies that show that, oh, it's not damaging. And the thing about that is that the overwhelming majority of studies show that it is damaging and that it does hurt these kids. And for someone who's been researching for about 9 years now, I can tell you why you might find the odd study that says that it's not damaging. And the simple fact is that psychological studies, which is what most of these are usually survey-based, among other things, and they're very irreproducible in a sense. They're not necessarily bad, but they're not great. And then you also have unsavory scientific journals that will basically publish anything for money, and they don't really have a peer review process, which I feel like is how these get studied. They have really bad, they're really, the research is set up in these studies, because I've read a few of them, is set up badly. It's not a good study, which is why, as I've mentioned, the overwhelming majority will say that it harms kids, because it does. It ultimately does. And I don't even like to call myself a victim, but when I was 18 years old, I was groped at a club, and there was an attempt to possibly sexually assault me, and it was stopped. Thankfully, it was stopped. But that act of almost being sexually assaulted, it gave me nightmares and anxiety for months because it was genuinely scary. And nothing happened. Like, I don't like to call myself a victim. I can't imagine how people who truly are victims feel. It must be psychologically horrible. And, from that experience, I just have so much sympathy for these victims, and I'm urging you to not do this to these kids. It's not a good thing to do. It destroys them. And the other thing, and this makes me mad. I'm gonna get angry. So I'm also bisexual, and you fucks are trying to add your name onto the LGBT acronym. Being attracted to kids is not a sexuality. I don't even know if you were fully born this way, to be honest, and I'll get to that in a little bit, but you're making a choice to harm somebody. When I have sex with a girl or a boy, it does not harm them under normal circumstances. It's, if consent is involved in everything. It's not psychologically damaging. Every time every time you have sex with a child or you do a sexual act with a child, you're damaging them. There is no good way to do this. And yeah, there might be that odd case that even I'll agree is fucked up, where you have like an 18-year-old who's still in high school having sex with like a 15-year-old, his girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and the parents get involved and they charge him with statutory, and that person ends up on the sex offender list. That's fucked up. Because, I don't see that as pedophilia. I see that as people taking advantage of a very slim loophole and calling that statutory. But that is not the norm, and you guys know it. You know that whenever someone is charged as a sex offender, it's usually because it's a 30-year-old man having sex with a 13-year-old or, molesting a 5-year-old person. That's why you're not LGBT. And as I mentioned, you're not... I don't even think you guys are born this way to an extent. I think some of you are. I think it's a mixture of nature and nurture. So I think some people are literally just wired this way. And I'll admit that sucks. I also think a few of you were abused as kids and this is how you're dealing with it. Again, that sucks. And I remember many, many years ago, I was on a road trip with my mother, and it was like 3 a.m, and we had NPR on, which is like the worst thing to ever do because it's boring. But this was actually interesting, and it was a story about a kid who was 17 years old, and he was sexually attracted to kids, and he knew it was wrong, and he was trying to seek help. So he created a group of people like him with 2 rules. 1, you had to be actively seeking help. And 2, you could not offend. And I have the utmost sympathy for him and for people in this group because they know it's wrong. They're trying to seek help. And as I've mentioned, it ultimately sucks to have those feelings. I agree that it does. But the second you start advocating for legal pedophilia, or you actually do something to a kid, in my opinion, I would literally burn you at the stake. You're a horrible human. You've destroyed a kid, or you're advocating for people to ultimately destroy kids, and you are the scum of the earth, and I hate you. You're sick. There's something wrong with you. This is not normal. This is such a disturbing subject, and I can't believe that there's so many of you on the internet who think this is an actual sexuality and that we're bigots for hating you. But the truth of the matter is you're sick, and I hope you seek help. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.
Hey guys, your humble host here from the chambers of my heart. I've already done quite a few videos on this disgusting crap, and it kind of annoys me that I have to do yet another video. I've had a couple of these buggers floating around my channel ever since putting up videos speaking out against pedophilia, speaking out against what Omnipolitics was doing, which, take a hint, you stupid buggers, he is now gone. Because of what he was advocating for, because what he was promoting, us sane people took it within ourselves to get him reported, and look, he's gone. You guys need to take a freaking hint. You know, I know there's a view going around, and I've even reiterated the view that if you guys don't want to get help, you guys belong in jail or really long box 6 feet under, and I still stand by that. As a past sexual abuse victim, I can't even wrap my head around why you guys would advocate for this. This behavior, this promotion of pedophilia was actually predicted and called a few years ago when the LGBT first started to push for same-sex marriage and all this stuff. And I remember the conservatives and the Christians got laughed at because of it. Well, who's laughing now? Hint, no one is laughing. This has gotten worse. I've already made my decision on this entire matter with the LGBT because, let me tell you what, that P is going to be added. It will. You have members of the LGBT coming out and crying, love is love. Love has no age. So it's members of that group that is also advocating for this. I know you have the LGBT, you have the LGBT plus, but in the end, it ain't gonna matter for shit because that P is going to be added. It's gonna become official. And the day that it does, where I tell that entire group to go F themselves. I really don't stand with that group for the most part, as it is. I'm all for freedom of expression, for individual rights, but I also have moral standards, and for what you perverts are advocating for is disgusting. And I know that the mainstream media has started to push this narrative, oh, well, they're just misunderstood, you're just misunderstood. It's all freaking bullshit. So, us sane people, us healthy people who have nieces and nephews or who have been sexually abused as children, look on this and go, you know what? Oh, we're on our own now. Here's how we're going to deal with it. We've dealt with omnipolitics thanks to the help of some really big YouTubers, which thank God I'm thankful for they stepped in and helped. And the same is going to happen to you if you do not quit. I've already told some of you buggers to get the hell off my channel with your BS. I'm all for freedom of speech, but there are boundaries, and you have crossed one of those boundaries, which is endangering children, which is against YouTube's policy. I'm surprised your guys' channels are still up, but with all the censoring crisis going on and the other shit, you guys have been given a wide open door. And that door is not going to stay open for very long. Not if we have anything to say about it. So once again, my warning to you from my channel, the Chambers of My Heart, bugger off. If you do not want us on your ass 24/7, then shut up, take your shit, and go away. Otherwise, we're going to continue to out you, we're going to continue to put the spotlight on you, and we're going to continue to report you till your asses are off the wet. We did that with omnipolitics. Sure, it took a little while, but we are adamant and we are for protecting children. So take the hint and get lost, or face the consequences. I'm not advocating for violence, but that is my stance, and I will not back down from it. I know I got an argument with Daniel Gaither, and he tried to report my Twitter. You're hilarious, dude. No one is going to back you up. Twitter's not going to look at my account and what I'm telling you and suspend me for when you are advocating for the sexual endangerment of children. You know, another one I want to address is Dr. Pedophile. And I did tweet out this Gmail notification because you posted a comment on my channel and then edited it, which I have both the original and the edited one. The original stating how, well, I didn't get teenagers when I was younger, so I should have access to them now. No, dude, no. That's not how that works. Take your crusty old ass and go deal with yourself. Whether you need to go find a lady your age, fine, but go deal with your issues. If it is found out that you are touching children, any of you, we won't hesitate to do to you what we did to omnipolitics. It's just that simple. This is not funny. This comes down to, hey, we need to do something about this if the proper authorities won't, in regards to YouTube and Twitter. So I'm going to end it here. I've said enough. If you guys want to come and harass me on my channel, bring it on, because I'm not dealing with this. And a lot more people are speaking out against you, and for that I am freaking glad. Have a nice day, and take my hint, or deal with the consequences and trouble that come about for spouting your bullshit.
So let me get this straight. Your dream job is to be a babysitter, and you're a pedophile. Does this not seem strange to you? If a child needs to be babysat because they don't have the capability to take care of themselves, what makes you think they can consent to sex? Smart.
Hello there, YouTube. So this video is going to be really unpleasant, just fair warning. There are hundreds of videos on YouTube of very young children doing incredibly inappropriate things, and I am disgusted beyond words. Any of you guys that have been around for a little while know that I made a video before defending pedophiles' rights to get access to help from therapists without being reported to the police. And this is exactly why I advocate for easier access to mental health professionals and possible harmless outlets. Anything we can do to prevent the harm of real children, we should be doing. What's worse is that there are child rapists trying to attach their mental illness onto the LGBT community as if it's a valid sexual orientation. It is not. Pedophilia is an illness that needs treatment, and if you hope to avoid raping children, I highly suggest to anyone feeling any inappropriate feelings towards children to seek help immediately. Thanks for watching, guys. Sorry for the subject matter. Follow me on Twitter. I post regularly there. See you soon!
If you know of any children who are being abused by people like this, please do not hesitate to contact the National Center for Missing or Exploited Children or National Child Abuse Hotline. Because if there's a child being abused and you know this, you can save that kid's life. Doing nothing is no different than helping these people hurt children. And that's what they're advocating for. They can dress it up as pedosexual or however they want to, but these are advocates for pedophilia, harming children.
Don't you ever forget, Devil has his eyes on you. No place safe to run.